So, good evening, everybody. Latest edition of Last Bell Boxing. I'd like to welcome the infamous Billy Nelson onto the show. Good evening, Billy. Thank you for giving us your time.
Welcome, mate. You're welcome.
Brilliant. And we got Dave as well, the regular from Thursday night shows. Hi, Dave.
Right, mate. All right.
Sound. So, Billy, let's start at the beginning. How did you actually get into boxing and boxing training?
Well, I was about 14, maybe 15, and a friend of mine at school was the schoolboys champion, and he took me along to a gym, and I started training down there. And then when I was about 16, I met Peter Harrison. I went to a gym in Glasgow in city centre and met Peter Harrison, and I was with Peter Harrison until I was about 27, and then he asked me to be his assistant trainer because his son Scott Harrison was turning pro. Scott was a successful amateur, won the European I think it was under 19s when he was 17, and he was turning over. And Peter asked me to be his assistant trainer, and just went from there.
I mean, you've got a really impressive resume. Some of the boxers you've been involved with. Obviously, Ricky Burns, who we all know. You had Ricky for about 13 years, didn't you, Billy?
No.
Oh, what did you know?
I got Ricky when Ricky failed the second time to become the British champion when he fought Carl Johansson, and his manager Alec Morgan asked me to train him, and he had 23. I think it was 23 fights for me, winning 21, losing one, and drawing one. So he only lost to Terence Crawford and drew with Beltran.
Yeah.
Go on, Dave. You got a question?
No, I was just about to say how those two nights, in terms of Beltran and Crawford, do you think that was the best Burns that turned up? I mean, against Terence Crawford, it probably wouldn't have mattered really, Billy, would it?
No.
The guy was a rising superstar, wasn't he?
The guy was exceptional. He's the best fighter I've seen personally live.
Really?
Yeah.
Exceptional balance. His footwork was immense. Shot choice. And Ricky went the distance with him and gave him a competitive fight. But he's since went on and done exceptionally good things, hasn't he?
Yeah. And I know the Beltran fight, there was a lot of kind of controversy in terms of a lot of people thought Beltran won on the night. What was your perception from a coach's point of view? Did you immediately think it was Ricky's or
on the night during the fight? I thought it was a close fight. I did actually think it was a close fight.
Yeah.
But then I watched it on the TV. Well, I wouldn't. You can understand how Beltran's people run. Not happy. The right thing would have been to give him a rematch, but I think Terence Crawford was the mandatory. Then we had to fight him next.
Yeah.
And just coming on to Martin Bacoli, Billy, I've got a straight question to ask you. Why did you so avoided?
Because he's very, very good.
Because
listen. Let me just make this plain and simple, right? See the night he fought Michael Hunter, he shouldn't have been anywhere near a boxing ring. He had a serious personal problem at home, and he never told me about it. He never told me the Sunday morning. If I would have known that the issue that had arose, there's no way he'd have been fighting Michael Hunter. See, leading up to that fight, we gave Anthony Joshua the best of sparring. Hughie Fury, brilliant sparring with him as well. And for Martin to go in and give a substandard performance, I knew there was something wrong. And he told me the next morning, it was hard. Listen, he was brilliant. He was world class leading up to that fight. And then that performance was just abysmal. But he knows that. He knows he's not daft. We've brushed that under the carpet. That's away. That's gone, finished. He went to Poland, fought in front of 9,000 Poles and knocked out Marius Wack on 3 weeks' notice.
Yep.
From when we got off of that fight, he had to fly to the UK. He had to do his medicals here. He had to go down to London 3 times to the Polish embassy to get his visa. We had to travel to Poland, and then we still had to fight. And he stopped him. Something Dylan White couldn't do, and something Hughie couldn't do. I know. Dylan never had a full camp, but he's meant to be number 1 in the world. mandatory challenger. He never
How
stopped him. Hughie never stopped him. Martin Bacoli did.
how highly do you rate Martin Bacoli then, Billy? Let's have it on. World class?
Of course, he's world class. Do I rate him? He's the best. I've been involved with Scott Harrison, Ricky Burns, Alec Arthur, Lemond,
Yep.
some real good fighters. Lewis Ritson, he's a brilliant fighter. But Martin Bacoli, in my opinion, is the best of a lot of them. Listen, well, don't just take my word for it. Ask Robert McCracken. Ask Peter Fury.
Yeah.
Ask Martin Bowers.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see Anthony Joshua talking about him, it's straight from the horse's mouth that Joshua thinks that he's one of the hardest sparring partners he's got, but one of the best.
He came out the ring one day and says, "This guy," he says, "You're going to win a world title. So guaranteed you're going to be a world champion one day."
Yeah.
That installs you a lot of confidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that Marius Vac performance was, for me, for a heavyweight to go through the shot selection that he did on the night, Billy, it was massively impressive. You never normally see guys outside of the Furies, the Joshuas. When you see these heavyweights in the top 10, you never see them make shot selections like he did that night.
Did you see the right uppercuts and the left uppercuts and the left hooks?
Yeah.
And the distance.
Yeah.
It was superb that night.
And brilliant, wasn't he?
And do you know the scary thing is? One of the judges only had him round up after the 7th round. And even worse, somebody came into the change room and said to us, "It's okay, I've spoke to the judges, it's going to be a fair fight."
As if it was going to go that far.
I says to Martin, "Well, you know what you need to do now? You need to go and knock him. You need to knock him out to win."
Yeah.
Stop it.
Is it true that he's a younger brother of Makabu?
Younger brother, Junior Makabu is the cruiserweight world champion.
Not a bad boxing family, are they?
Very good. His dad's the king of Kananga, and he was a professional boxer as well.
Right.
Way back.
So when do you think Martin will be next out then?
Well, we're hoping for July. We're in the process of trying to get him his sportsman's visa. So once that's landed, he'll be travelling back, and then we'll get him a fight in July.
Brilliant. And who else in camp at the minute who's worth keeping an eye on, Billy?
Well, I've got Craig Morgan. He's stepping up to super featherweight. Craig will be 6 foot southpaw, and he's very, very strong just now. He's worked really hard during the COVID period. He's lucky enough to have a wee gym in his house, so he's been working particularly hard. But he's punching harder than what he's ever punched. But he's always been very, very skillful as well. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of years with him as well.
Yep.
What about your time with Lewis, Billy? How did you find that? I was down at I was training at Forest Hall when you first took over the mantle with Lewis. What did you think of him when you had your time with him?
Lewis is an exceptional fighter. Lewis has got something that you can't train into fighters. The determination, will to win. And do you know something? A brilliant family as well. He comes from a lovely family, lovely people. Yeah. I was gutted, absolutely gutted, when he moved back to Newcastle. I think it was a wee between the homesick and I think his girlfriend just fell pregnant. I think she fell just pregnant, but I think it was always going to be a hard job to keep him here because he was young, and it's the first time he's really been away from Newcastle. But I thoroughly enjoyed my 9 fights with him, and he went on to do really well for himself. And I knew he would.
Because he debuted as a welterweight, didn't he?
He was a welterweight amateur, and I've got him into lightweight. But he was the biggest, strongest lightweight you've ever seen.
Massive, wasn't he? Massive.
Oh, huge. But he done it safely. I mean, I wouldn't do it otherwise.
Yeah.
One question we had in, Billy, during one of our live shows was, what's the biggest fight you feel you've been involved in?
Well, listen up. I've been involved with 20 world title fights. Every one of them's a big fight, aren't they? Every fight's a big fight, mate. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's a 4-round fight with a guy making his debut to a world title fight. You want to win every fight, because the 4-round fight is just as important for that boxer as what the world title fight is for the world champion fighter. But I'd say the one I enjoyed most, not most, was probably Kevin Mitchell, because the atmosphere was fantastic. But also, when it was with Scott Harrison, we fought Tracy Harris Patterson in Madison Square Gardens, and I remember walking through Madison Square Gardens before the show started, and the hair in the back of my neck was tingling. So it was because I'm just going through my mind all the greats that have fought there, and this guy from Scotland's there with his fighter, and you're performing in the mecca of boxing, really, and I was really quite proud of myself.
Yep, brilliant.
And he went on to beat a former 2-weight world champion, and Tracy Harris Patterson. Actually, he gave him a right tank, and he completely closed his right eye and partially closed his left eye. What a performance for a young man that night! Fantastic.
Yeah. Now I noticed Scott Harrison. There was mention of him making a comeback, Billy, recently, wasn't there?
But unfortunately, he never got his British Boxing Border Control license back. I'm not exactly sure the organisation, Bieber or something like that, some Irish. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure. He did have a comeback fight and beat a boy in the second round. But I really don't know what's going on with Scott anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. Another question that popped up, Billy, was have you had to change any training methods in the gym to replicate COVID conditions during fight night? So obviously with no crowds being in stadiums, is there anything different you haven't doing in the gym? I'd imagine that means.
No, you don't change anything if you don't fix something if it's no broke.
No. Have you I'll just elaborate on that one. It must be slightly different though, fighting in halls or stadiums when there's no crowd there. Certain fighters feed off crowds, don't they?
But you're a professional. You need to. What is the saying? You need to play with the cards you're given.
Yeah.
So you just have to go on and do your job. Martin front. Oh no, they had some crowd that night. I think there was 1,000 at Wembley that night when Anthony Joshua beat Puev. I think there was 1,000 or maybe 2,000. I can't remember. I think it was 1,000. But listen, it'll get back to normal shortly, I hope.
Yeah. Carl Greaves made the point that when the fight is inside the ring, they're in the zone anyway. So that, in terms of the crowd, it's neither here or there. So that's what the point Carl Greaves made.
I remember. I know some of my fighters have said to me, doesn't it, if it's 5,000-10,000 people there, they only hear one voice, and they should only hear one voice, and that's mine for the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is incredible, really, isn't it?
Yep.
Unless I tell them I'm a big fucking myth. Maybe I've just picked them up wrong, eh?
So what's the latest with the banter with Sam Jones as well, Billy? Because I see you give him a good chess match on Twitter every day if you can.
No, well, I've not really got involved in it for a wee while. I blocked him because he was doing my tits in. He knows fine well what happened when Martin sparred Joe Joyce, and he videoed it, and then they videoed the second spar. So I've got the full spar on my phone, and I do watch it now and again. If they ever win that fight, the fight's there. All they've got to do is pick up the phone. Martin Bacoli will knock out Joe Joyce. 100%.
Yeah. It must be really difficult to match Martin Bacoli. Must be
horrendous.
Yeah.
I'll ask you a question. The two is.
Yep.
Why does nobody shout Martin Bacoli out?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's obvious.
I could cause ructions on this channel tonight by telling you what he's done to certain people.
Yeah.
Ructions.
No. I've seen it. I've seen you call people out, and it's definitely silence after a few tweets. And it's not like that with other heavyweights, Billy. You know yourself. It's not guys like Dave Allen, and I've got a lot of time for Dave Allen, but
Dave's a lovely big guy.
Yeah.
I wasn't too keen on Dave at first, but we met in Manchester and we sat down and said we're peace to each other, shook hands. Brand new. He is a brand new guy, by the way. Dave knows. He's knowing Martin's, class. He knows, and he's no daft. Dave's a good fighter, but he knows it's a different level for Martin. I mean, we've called it Joe Joyce, Daniel DeBow. Would fight any of them tomorrow. Or that Higovic. I mean, you've got to laugh at Carlos Ireland's iFilm interview. Saying, poor wee Higovic has been in camp since January, waiting in a fight. Well, he was meant to fight Martin Bacoli in March. Do you think Martin Bacoli was sitting on a couch eating chips and fish and chips? He was in camp, and Higovic disappeared off the face of the earth, and then announced that he was fighting Michael Hunter. So what about poor Martin Bacoli?
Yeah.
What they're talking about is the exact same as what happened to Martin Bacoli, but Martin Bacoli never got a fight at the end of it. Well, thankfully, Martin's been installed in the top 15 of the IBF. I sincerely hope everybody up to 14 knocks back a fight with Higovic and we get it. That will never happen, obviously, but if that happened, it didn't need to go and ask anybody else. We'll take it.
I was going to say, Billy, is it about getting him to a mandatory position? How's anything going to change? If everyone's ducking him?
Well, they have to fight. If they don't fight him, they go down the rankings, wouldn't they? They'll obviously go down the rankings.
Yeah.
He'll get an opportunity. MTK, the best management company in the world, they've done more for Martin than what anybody's done for him. And in the last 4 months since we signed with him, they've done more for him behind the scenes than anybody's done anything for him.
Yeah.
So when he gets his visa and he can start fighting here and living here, the ball's really going to start rolling in. And we've got a lot to thank MTK for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long would you kind of give the time frame in terms of pushing for world title shots, Billy? Do you think it's going to be within the next sort of 18 to 24 months?
Well, need to be. Well, I think the belts have got to get spread out a wee bit first. I mean, I hope.
Yeah.
I personally hope if AJ fights Tyson Fury, whoever wins the fight gives up a couple of belts rather than have a rematch.
Yeah.
And then a few, there could be a few more world champions, and give more people opportunities because they're tying the belts up, which isn't good for the sport, is it? I don't think it is anyway.
No.
It's all well and good becoming the unified champion, but when you've got that, get a couple of belts up and let others fight for it.
Yeah.
You've achieved your objective, being unified champion.
Do you mind me asking who you think wins that fight, Billy?
Listen, mate, it's a really hard fight. I mean, I've not seen enough of Tyson Fury live, and I've seen him on the telly, obviously, but no, actually at a show watching him. I think AJ either stops him or he gets outboxed, doesn't he? So
Yeah.
But I don't really care who wins it.
Yeah.
I just want Martin Bacoli to fight a world champ, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who would be an interesting fight for him as well, Billy. And I think he's one of the best pure boxers in the world, but I think at heavyweight, I think Martin beats him, and that's Usyk.
Usyk?
Yeah.
Well, some people laugh when I say that Martin's got a skill set that's exceptional, and it is exceptional. But, his brother taught him everything he knows about boxing when he was younger. Not everything that he knows, he gave him his grounding. He beat him up for a year Monday to Friday for a year. Southpaw, his brother Junior Macabu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, who's a fantastic fighter. Went to Russia and knocked out the guy that knocked out 23 of 24 opponents, and then beat another undefeated fighter over in Russia as well.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the Russians were having a laugh when Martin beat Kuzmin. He says, "We're no fighting another Ilunga again."
And then just quickly on this weekend's fight, how did you have the Billy Joe versus Canelo fight when it was stopped?
I had Canelo 1 up at the end of the eighth? Aye.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty close fight, but that's a horrible injury he sustained, and I hope he makes a full, quick, healthy recovery.
Yeah, it looks a bad one, don't it?
It does. It actually looks worse than Daniels, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
But time's a great healer, so let's hope that he makes a full recovery. And I mean, he's making the right noises, saying that he wants to fight again. So let's hope that the eye allows that to happen.
Where would you take him next to that in terms of opponent?
Well, he can only fight the best opponents, can't he? Because he has what.
Well, surely that's not Eubank Jr., is it?
No. You couldn't put him in with him. Hey, Liam Williams would beat Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah, that would be a great fight. And
that's somewhat. I mean, that's a realistic fight to make. You know, with the fullest respect to Liam, he got beat by a good fighter over in America, and Chris Eubanks hasn't fought for a long time, so he, you know, the same kind of level or thereabouts.
Yeah.
That'd be a good fight, I think.
What about Triple G for Billy? I know he's a puncher.
I couldn't hear you there.
I said maybe Triple G for Billy Joe Saunders next.
No, you wouldn't want to put him in with a big banger next. No, after the injury. See that was a problem when I trained Ricky Burns. When we had Beltran, he came back for a broken jaw and he got put in with Crawford. In hindsight, but it was unavoidable because he was mandatory, wasn't
he? Yeah.
You would have liked a somewhat easier opponent just to test the jaw and be confident within yourself that the jaw's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was unfortunate he had to fight mandatory, and it happened to be the second best fight on the planet.
Yeah.
By a bastard.
we don't know what Billy Joe's going to come back like, do we?
Sorry?
We don't know what Billy Joe's going to come back like mentally. You know?
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know until he's in the ring.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Ricky's came back and done well enough, so there's no reason why Billy can't.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. All right, Billy. Well, 25-minute mark, so I said I'd keep it brief for you. So, finish off by saying thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Dave, any questions before we go?
No, just likewise, Billy. Thanks very much for your time. It means a lot.
No, you're more than welcome, guys, and the very best of luck with your channel.
I really appreciate it. Billy, what I will say is when Martin does win a world title, I'll be tapping you up again, okay?
You just drop me a line, big man, anytime.
Yeah, no bother. Again, appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Take care. Cheers.
Thanks, Billy. See you.